now tuned into the greatest.
So when that bag come, I won't fumble. I've been stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music. Get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause when I gon' have Metro S550s cruising. Like you winning on the...
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. You know, I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast of community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or you just want to drop a hot take on the line, give us a call, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So it's still plenty of sports to go watch, even though it's no basketball or football. Go check out some baseball because my Tigers been killing it, man. Definitely got to do that. But look, man, we're going to jump straight into the voicemail callers because we actually got a few today. And we're going to play them back, just hear what they got to say. They was talking about the Pistons from what I seen in the preview. I ain't listened to the whole thing. I always try to make sure it's worthy to play, like that somebody's actually going to say something. But I don't play the whole thing. I try to, keep it as organic as possible, I should say. But here's the first one. Let's do it. Let's hear what he got to say on this tape.
Hey, this is Ryan. I got a trade. You trade Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks from other teams. You trade all that. Try to get Devin Booker, and then going off your Nas Reed take, he declines his player option. You can bring him in for 4-year, $88 million deal. First year, about $19 million. Last year, $23.
Right.
And you got Cade, Booker, Thompson, Nas, Duran. Still got Isaiah Stewart off the bench. Still got players, Marcus Sasser. You got some draft picks that you can bring in. Still got Simone out there. I guess you get that Booker from the Suns if they're trying to blow it up. Get rid of everybody and then bring in a 3-level scoring big like Nas Reed. Instant contenders.
I mean, all right, I'm gonna play this again. But just first initial reaction is like, yeah, we become contenders for sure. But I think the Pistons already are contenders. Blowing up the squad, blowing up the future, I would say, giving up 4 draft picks. I think that's exactly what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to do so. But I heard Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, which is just crazy. Tobias Harris, I can understand that. And then 4 draft picks. Oh, hell, that's way too much for Devin Booker. That's way too much for damn near anybody in the league right now if it ain't LeBron James in his prime. That's a lot to blow up a team and just kind of get rid of the future. Because Ron Holland's still super young. Obviously, Ivy is still super young. He's coming off an injury, but he's still extremely talented. And then 4 picks is just crazy. 4, I think you said first round, but that's just crazy. And to me, Devin Booker is not worth it. Nas Reed is not. There's no player in the league right now, to me, that's worth giving up 4 draft picks, especially if it's first round for the next few years. And also 2 great players who are still very young and talented. I don't care. No, it's not worth it to me. And again, I'm going to play it back because I want to make sure I did hear you correctly when you said
This is Ryan. I got a trade. You trade Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks from other teams.
Yeah, that's nasty.
You trade all that. Try to get Devin Booker, and then going off your Nas Reed take, he declines his player option.
Yeah, we could not do that. That's disgusting. 2 first-round picks and then 4 second-round picks. Ron Holland Jr. and Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris. Oh my gosh, you must be a Suns fan. Because, no, respectfully, man, you got to be a Suns fan because that's blowing up the future. That's literally killing a franchise. If we did a trade like that as the Pistons, we would literally be turning into the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets, all these teams who try and get that quick fix and then nothing comes from it because I'm not a fan of that one. I do appreciate you calling in, and I like the vision of trying to put it together, bringing in, having Cade, Booker, and Nas Reed all on. I get the vision, but also too, we already don't have that much money. Like, even if we did trade Tobias Harris, we don't have enough money where we could be like, all right, hey, now that we traded Tobias, we can accept Devin Booker's contract and then pay Naz Reid. Like, we just don't have that kind of money, even if we were trying to make this trade happen, which I don't think we should do at all. I mean, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks is just insane. Getting rid of Ivy, getting rid of Ron Holland would just be insane to me. But those guys aren't on huge contracts where it could open up a window where we could bring in a Devin Booker and a Naz Reid. So to me, nah, man, I'm completely out on that. I do respect you, Colin. I love the vision of trying to make sure, Pistons have something to look forward to, but that to me would just kill the future. It would just hurt the future bad, man. It would hurt the future bad. And I don't think it results in a championship either, honestly, because we would still need to keep Beasley, and it would just be rough, man. That would be rough. Whew, that would be rough. All right, that's the first one. So we're going to play the other one here. Here's the other take here. He left a voice message.
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Louie. I seen your real Pistons content. I just kind of wrote the number down. I agree with you, bro. We don't need any star players because right now our time frame, we're kind of young. So if we could, someone who's around 25, 26, the latest I would say is 27. If we could bring somebody here, even as a free agent. But if we do end up trading, the situation we would need to trade for is something more so like, I would say, let's say how Paul George, that's a perfect person. Paul George didn't live up to expectations and he's getting paid $40 million. Well, we know in order to get someone to Detroit, we have to pay a slightly above average player, somebody like Tobias or Bogdanovich, and we have to pay them almost max money. But if we can trade somebody like the 76ers, who has a contract worth $40 million and he's not performing up to the $40 million, that'd be a good situation for us because Paul George, we do know, is capable of dropping 30, 40 points, heck, even 50 on a good day. But his average as of right now is dropped dramatically. So a person like that, where we can get maybe on a 1 or 2 years remaining on the contract, or possibly even 3, I feel like we should move on that because bringing someone like Paul George in, we would know that he's not who he used to be, but he's also someone that can create a shot from not needing the pass. He can create his own shot, and he's just as strong on defense. And it's obvious that everyone knows it's K's team, but that kind of bringing that kind of player on board wouldn't be any conflict in interest as far as who team is or anything like that. So if we could get somebody on the magnitude of that level, we'll have to overpay for them. But at the same time, we have no real contracts outside of K's anyway. So if we could bring somebody like that on board, it is worth doing, but it's not worth trading our young assets for. No, we can do it as a salary dump for them, and it'll be a nice option, a 1A, 1B type situation with Paul George being here, and the defense intensity does not drop. But it has to be somebody like that, or even maybe like a Brandon Ingram or somebody like that, but preferably someone who go both ways. But I do agree with you, it's not worth tearing up the roster, bringing somebody on board, because it doesn't work anyway.
Okay, yeah, so this is facts, man. Of course, appreciate you for giving us a call first and foremost. And man, I was agreeing with you for a second. I agree with you on the back end of that entire voicemail. And it's a unique perspective to say Paul George, because initially when you say, look, we should go grab a guy like Paul George, I'm not going to lie to you. Initially in my mind, I'm like, hell no. Like, the contract is huge. He's got like $50 million left for the next 2 years on his contract. It is a little absurd to think like, all right, Pistons got to go get him. But the only reason I'm not about to tweak out and like go crazy about everything you said is because you did say it's not worth giving up the young assets. If we can't make it happen, we can't make it happen. And you mentioned like we need a guy who can go both sides, play both ends of the ball. And this is so true. And this is why I want to give you the slack for it. However, I think there's other players out there outside of Paul George, or that could be more productive than Paul George. I know you mentioned someone, Brandon Ingram. He's another guy. I think Naz Reid is a guy. Like we mentioned, like the video that caught your attention. Jaren Jackson is also another guy to me. He's not like a defensive, obviously defensive of the year candidate, but that award that's a whole nother conversation of the award. But I think Jaren Jackson is even another guy who could probably be a good fit because he plays both ends of the ball. And he's being able to expand his game offensively. As far as like actually trying to make the Paul George thing happen, to me, it just wouldn't be worth the hit on the luxury tax because Paul George is obviously coming off an injury and things are slow over there. So maybe we could, talk to Philly and make something happen. But the only way I wouldn't be opposed to getting Paul George on this Detroit Pistons team is if we did not have to give up a bunch of young assets. If we did not have to give up a Ivy, a Ron Holland, multiple draft picks, that's the only way where I'm like, all right, okay, let's bring on Paul George and, see what it is for the year. He got 2 years left, actually 1 year left on his deal. Then after that is the player option. Then he's a free agent. But I mean, he's 35. He's 35. So I gotta go with my initial gut reaction here of yes, it could be beneficial seeing Paul George there, especially if we didn't give up a lot, like you mentioned. But Paul George is 35, man. He's getting up there in basketball years. We don't know how he's going to come back and perform after this injury. And then ultimately, is that really worth $50 million a year? To me personally, it's not. So that's just where that's what I think about when I hear about, maybe make something happen, call Philly and get Paul George. But it is a unique perspective. And again, I'm not completely opposed to it as long as it doesn't result in the Pistons getting tore up in the back end. But I think it's something, it's unique, man. That's a unique perspective there on the Paul George situation. So maybe we could make it happen, but I think I'm gonna stay strong on my thoughts of trying to get a 4. Someone who is like a solid 4 for the Pistons, a Naz Reid, what is Aldima from the Grizzlies. He's Santi Aldima. He's a great player from the Grizzlies who could be a great pickup. Jaren Jackson Jr., another guy, kind of expensive right now, but I mean, still, I think these would be people who come in and make an immediate impact on the Pistons right now, rather than, trying to make some magical trade happen like a Devin Booker, or trying to make something happen where we land like an actual big name star, Paul George, who's kind of on the decline too. But that's what also scares me about Paul George is like, yeah, I understand what you mean on, if we don't get screwed in the back end trying to get Paul George, maybe it could be good for the Pistons. But to me, seeing Paul George in a Pistons uniform, knowing that he's 35 going on 36 years old, to me, it just makes me think of Pistons getting Tracy McGrady, Pistons getting Chris Webber, Pistons getting Allen Iverson, all these guys who were in their prime and did such great things. And then when it was time to wrap it up, they went to go put on a Pistons uniform. We can't have that. And for 53 mil, I think it is for Paul George for the next 2 years. No. We can't risk it right now. And you did say this. You said we don't need to rush anything or try and force any type of trades. But that's just where my head goes initially when I think about Paul George in a Pistons uniform. And it rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why, man. But for some reason, it really does just trigger me. I don't know. Anyway. Look, man, that's all we got for the voicemails. If you want to shoot us a voicemail, leave us a quick take, 219-413-9405. We'll play your take back. Man, both of y'all who called, man, I appreciate it. I know some of these I played later than what you guys actually sent. And I can't promise every time, it'll be spot on 100%. Like as soon as you send it the next day, we're airing. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all like that. Wouldn't dare do that. But I mean, if the timing is right, of course I will, but sometimes it's difficult because there's a lot of shows. But I do want to say this. Before we go to the next segment, NBA draft, Tariq Skubal, Detroit Tigers, all of that. Before we go to that next segment, I do want to let you know, everybody now look, at this point, man, you are welcome to get on the show. Leave a comment on anything. you are welcome. Just comment. We'll try and, reach out. If we don't reach out like within the first 3 days, reach out to me, man, because I'll respond. We'll get you on the show. It's the off season. So of course, we're just looking for more and more people to get on the show, talk about all kind of things, get these crazy takes in. So the run is open to every single person now. If you see it and you do want to be a part of it, just comment and we're going to reach out to you, or you reach out to us if we don't reach out in the first 3 days. But other than that, I don't care. Either way, we want you to get on the show. Long story short, especially if you're trying to talk sports. Now, if you're trying to talk about something like you trying to promote some sea moss, or you're trying to promote some pills or whatever, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing none of that. But other than that, we'll get you on the show. Just let me know. I'm trying to bring literally everybody on at this point. We just got to find the schedule and stuff, especially since it's off season of the sports we usually talk about. So y'all going to be hearing some baseball takes anyway. Look, man. All right, it's halftime. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We got some more stuff on NBA draft and also a little small thing on the Detroit Tigers coming up in the World Series. But we'll be right back. It's halftime.